Hello friends, I'm Dr. Nishat Quamar. Hope you are doing well. As you know that your human resource management specialization is going to be completed. Till now you have gained all the relevant information regarding the basic human resource management and its function, then the strategic human resource management, the formulation of strategies, implementing the strategies, and you can see the barriers an organization faces in implementing those strategies. So we have all the relevant information regarding the you can say strategies formulated by the organization. So let us start a new concept named change management, or the organizational change, or the management of change. It is also a strategic decision for an organization to bring change inside the organization. And let us get the concept of change management. First of all, in this concept you will very well understand that what exactly is the change, what to change, how to change, why to change, how much to change, and who will bring change inside the organization. So when you are getting the concept of change management, there are three very relevant words you must understand, and these three words are the rectification, modification, and you can say alteration in the existing system. And you can very well understand that the collection of people makes an organization, and the people are different because they have different values, beliefs, they are coming from different backgrounds, they have different ideologies. So when we are going to get the concept of change management, the first thing we must understand that it is not an easy task for an organization to implement a change inside the organization, because people are active factor of production, people are reactive in nature, people are very much conscious about their employment situation inside the organization. So any kind of change which an organization wants to bring inside the organization must be first of all related with the ideologies of the people working, or the workforce working inside the organization. The concept of change management says that change is the law of nature and nothing is permanent except change. It is also said in human resource management, especially in this concept, that change with the time or time will change you, or change with the time or lag behind. So friends, let us start understanding first of all what is change. You can say any kind of alteration, any kind of modification, any kind of rectification in the overall environment of an organization could be a change inside the organization. The whole organization tend to be affected by the change in any part of it, or an enterprise can be changed in several ways. It may be the change in procedures, it may be the change in methods, systems, or people, or anything which is existing inside the organization. So on the basis of this, change can be classified into three categories. It may be at the individual level change, or group level changes, or you can say organizational level changes. So here we can understand the nature of change. Here you can see there are two words, planned and unplanned change. So as the name says, it is planned change. It means it is just strategical in nature. It is not just imposed on the employees. It is for the benefit of the organization. So here you can say the planned change are always a strategic move by the side of organization. It is required, it is, you can say, the demand of the time for the organization to bring change inside the organization. And you can say it is always purposive in nature. It is intentionally in nature, and it is always deliberate in nature, and for the change has to be bring in a planned way inside the organization for the benefit of the organization. Unplanned change, as it is said, that it is imposed, and it is often a result of unforeseen situation. Okay, so if the change has to bring, and it is the demand of the time to bring change inside the organization, let us understand what are the major causes of, what are the major forces inside, what are the major forces which compels an organization to bring change. Okay, there may be the internal forces or external forces. We all know that every organization has two environment they are facing, the internal environment and the external environment. The internal environment are most of the time in control of the organization, but the external environment of any organization is simply dynamic, per second changing, and it is volatile in nature. If any kind of changes happens outside the organization in its external environment, it is necessary to bring change in the internal environment of the organization just to keep pace with that changing or dynamic environment. So it is the internal force. Maybe sometime the organization thinks that, or there is an indication, and the organization is getting very logically that there needs some kind of rectification, alteration or modification inside the organization. So it works like an internal force to bring a change. External force is always outside, in the outside environment. It also influences the organization to bring change. So on the basis of these forces, there are some factors, internal and external factors, which compels an organization to bring change, or it may be categorized as internal factor of organizational change and or external factors of organizational change. So here you can say the internal factors may be changes in managerial personnel, may be changes in operative personnel, or at the functional level, or deficiency or lackness in the existing structure. And the external factors may be it is available in the external environment of the organization, which you have done during your courses, and especially in the strategic management, the pestle analysis. Okay, means there are certain factors available outside the organizational environment which compels an organization, works like a force or factors to bring change inside the organization, which may be political factors, social factors, market condition, legal factors, ecological factors, or technological change. So let us know what is the simple process of change. It is first of all given by the Kurt Lewin in 1940. He explained this change with the three-step model, and these three stages of organizational change, according to Lewin, including the first step is, or the first phase of bringing change inside the organization is unfreezing, means ready to change, or the organization is unfreezing the situation inside the organization and become ready to change. Then the second phase is a phase for bringing rectification, modification and alteration, implementation of that change slowly and gradually. And when the organization gets satisfied that these changes are now complete, then again there is a phase to permanent that change, and that is known as, the third phase is known as refreezing and making it stick. With this simple process, an organization can bring very easily change, implement change inside the organization, but the organization must know that they are dealing with the people. The first of all, the people must be cooperative and supportive to the organization to bring or to accept that change. Okay, so before bringing any kind of change, before implementing any kind of rectification, modification and alteration, an organization must ensure that whether the employees are ready for that change or not. Okay, this is a very crucial point when an organization wants to implement change inside the organization. And if the organization is getting indication that the people are ready for the change mentally, then that is the time to unfreeze all the problems, or you can say the change has to bring inside the organization in any system or procedure, or you can say any alteration, rectification has to be done. This is the situation known as unfreezing the situation. Then again slowly and gradually execute the intended change, the change the organization wants to bring at that situation. The change may be in people potential, may be in you can say the process or procedures or methods or system. Slowly and gradually do all type of rectification, modification, alteration which is required to bring that change. And when you feel that that alteration is completed, the change is completed, and that is going to be suitable further for the organization, that is the time to ensure that the change becomes permanent, and that phase is known as refreezing the change. So refreeze it and the change is complete. But there is another you can say dimension of bringing the change in the organization, and which is known as the resistance to change. And it is it comes by the side of the workforce first of all, because they are the active factor of production, they are the living being, they are just like a think tank inside the organization. Whenever they thought, whenever they get that information that there is something going to be changed in the existing system or existing condition of their employment, there are several you can say question arises in their mind, that whether they are going to be adaptable or adaptable in that change situation, whether it would be comfortable for them to adjust in that change situation, or maybe they are more conscious about their employment situation, where whether they are going to be rejected and they are going to be you can say demoted, or maybe sometime they are thinking that this would not going to be a comfort zone for working situation in the organization. So they begin to resist that change. They became opposing, or you can say non-cooperative, and struggling with modification or transformation that alter the status quo, their comfort zone. So they begin to create hurdle, or you can say they interfere in bringing that, implementing that change. Okay, but they feel that this change will become like a threat for their employment, and may the situation and organization could face that there may be resignation, you can say intentionally they are slow down their their work, and there is a condition of low motivation and increased absenteeism and request for transfer, and there may be some kind of a strike, or you can say reduction in productivity. So an organization could face these kind of challenges when they want to bring any kind of change, implementing any change inside the organization. So to understand this situation, let us know what are the major causes of this resistance to change. Why people in the same organization they begin to oppose and they are not cooperating in bringing the change. Here I would like to say that whenever a company wants to, an organization wants to bring any change inside the organization, the workforce must think the other side of the situation, that change is an expensive process. If organization is changing something or doing any kind of rectification, modification, or you can say alteration in the existing system, it means that it is required for the organization. This is the demand of the time. So workforce should first of all understand the logic behind that change. But here we are just going to get the information that what causes the resistance to change inside the organization. The first is individual resistance to change. The individual inside the organization begin to resist the change because of the human characteristic, you can say their perception, their personalities and their needs. They may think that they are going to lose their job, they think that their employment is not safe and secure, and they think that their comfort zone is going to be disturbed after this change. And sometimes they think that the peer group are giving some kind of pressure, or you can say they are going to disrupt, or you can say the interpersonal relationship. Sometimes they think that they are just going to away from a group in which they are working. So there are certain individual causes on which the personnel begin to resist the change. The second one is organizational resistance to change. Sometimes the organization itself brings a resistance to the change. And the major reason for organization resistance are threat to power and influence and group inertia and organizational structure, resource constraint and sunk cost. Sometimes the organization has invested so many, you can say, a huge amount of funds here and there, and now it is difficult to realize those funds. And sometimes there is a organizational constraints by the side of organizational structure, or the organization is not very much capable of coordinating the resources. At that time the organization itself bring a resistance to change. So if this kind of situation is happening in the organization, but the main thing is that to exist in the market, to be a established firm in the market, the change is required. So here we will understand what are the ways to overcome or reduce this resistance to change. The first of all, you can see here that the first is education and communication. Okay, so if an organization wants to bring the change without any resistance or low percentage of resistance, the organization must educate and give proper, timely, and you can say adequate information regarding that change to the employees who are going to be a part of that change after that that rectification or alteration, just to give them a situation, a clear indication in a very logical way that nothing is going to be happen wrong with them, and they are very easily going to be adapted with some kind of training or education provided by the side of organization, and it would be easier to adapt. Another way of reducing the resistance to change is participation and involvement. This is just a good idea by the side of organization to involve people and give them an opportunity to participate in different decision making regarding the change, so that they could understand that what is the logic behind the change, and they could understand exactly what is going to be happen, and mentally prepared that it is not going to be very, you can say, difficult for them, and it is going to be beneficial for themselves to, for the enhancement of their skills and knowledge also. So participation and involvement is also a very good idea, very good a way to reduce the resistance to change situation after this change. Okay, the second one is The second one is facilitation and support. Here you can say that the key elements of facilitation and support might be include adding additional, you can say, training, counseling, mentoring to the workforce, and just reduce their fear and anxiety to and just change their mindset that this change is required by the side of organization. This change is just demanding inside the organization to keep pace with the external environment of that organization. It is just required, so their support and their cooperation is. Sometimes the organization gives a little bit manipulative information to the workforce regarding that change to make them prepare mentally to accept that change. The managerial personnel, if they are excellent in managerial capabilities, they can easily make them mentally prepared to accept that change. The second, you can say, the way to reduce the change is negotiation and bargaining. Okay, the maybe the organization cope up with this resistance by giving some kind of incentive or some kind of, you can say, an opportunity to leave the organization. The negotiation and bargaining might involve offering better financial rewards for those who accept the requirements and of the change program, and alternatively enhanced reward for leaving might also be offered. The approach is commonly used when a business need to restructure the organization by delayering. Okay, so sometimes the people resist to change when they feel that there is a kind of threat. to lose their employment. So at that time, maybe this is the last option for the organization. It is just explicit and implicit coercion is related with some kind of punishment. So this is the when all the technique fails to reduce the change, the organization can use this way of uh, reducing the resistance to change, some kind of punishment or some kind of pressure that organization may involve with that situation. And maybe the explicit coercion involves people when told exactly what the implication of resisting change will be, and implicit coercion involves suggesting the likely negative consequences for the business of failing the change without making explicit threats. The big issue with using coercion is that it is almost inevitably damages trust between the workforce and a business, and it lowers the morale of the employee. The people get demotivated and they feel that the organization is forcefully implementing that change on themselves. So we can say that organizational change is an extremely complex process. It is difficult to implement change inside the organization, especially in the large organization, and they are going to make changes at some point, and it is said that when it is necessary to change, there is no option without changing or doing any kind of alteration, rectification and modification to make an organization effective and efficient. Then the first thing is that the organization must develop the positive attitude towards the workforce, just try to implement some kind of trust and confidence with the proper, adequate and timely information, and communicating and giving them counseling, and just explaining them what is the logic behind this change. So after doing all these things, maybe the people will understand the logic behind the change, and they will cooperate and support in bringing that change. So this is all about the change management concept. Hope you understand well. Have a nice day.